Hey everyone, it's Carissa Wiley at sprinkledwithglitter.com. Thanks for joining me today. Today I am sharing a brand new project that I created with the Essentials by Ellen July 2022 release. This release is full of images that are just going to make you want to relax because it's very sea themed. And for me, the sea and the ocean is a very calming place. So I thought I would run through the release really quickly. I'm just going to show you all of the stamps and dies that are available. And there are some brand new hot foil plates that are in essential shapes that coordinate with the Essentials by Ellen essential shape dies, which you all know that I love, that are available in this release. And I'm going to be using those today. Now this stamp set here, The World is Your Oyster, this is available as a gift with purchase for a limited time. So I will have the details of that over on my blog, or you can check ellenhutson.com. Now here are those hot foil plates that I mentioned earlier, the essential circles and the essential arches. These coordinate, as I mentioned, with the essential shape dies that are in the same shapes. And just like those shape dies, there are 2 sheets of these shapes in every pack. So this is a great value. And like I mentioned, I'm going to be using those today. The focal image of my card comes from the official stamp set that's released today. And I'm starting out with the wave design that's in this official stamp set. And I'm going to heat emboss it onto vellum. So I have the Essentials by Ellen vellum in my Misty stamping tool. I've prepped the surface with a powder tool, and now I am stamping that wave pattern right onto the vellum using some Versamark ink. And then I'll take this over, I'll add my white embossing powder, and I will heat set this. Now, I really wanted to create a very beautiful ethereal ocean kind of scene for this card. And so I chose the vellum, and I'm going to be inking on the vellum. Now, a lot of times people feel like you cannot use dye inks on a vellum, and that's just simply not true. I'm here to debunk the myth today. So I went ahead and heat set that with my heat tool, and now I'm using this coordinating die. I'm holding it onto the vellum using a little bit of removable adhesive, and I'm going to run this through my die cut machine. So now I have this really cool wave pattern on the top of the vellum, and now it's time to add some color. So to do this, I'm actually going to ink on the back side of the vellum, and that is just to prevent transfer. If it doesn't quite dry in time when I put it on my card, this will prevent transfer to my fingers. So I'm starting by just swiping this Aqua Sky ink pad on the back side of this vellum, and then I just kind of buff it off with a dry microfiber cloth. Then I'm adding a little bit of this Catherine Pooler Daydream ink to the bottom to deepen it up. And you're going to see me kind of buff it into the vellum. It's going to do 2 things. It's going to kind of quote unquote dry the ink on the vellum, but it's also kind of going to blend that ink up into the Aqua Sky and soften the edge. Now, once I have that Daydream on there, I'm going to go back with the Aqua Sky and add a little bit more of this lighter ink at the top to intensify it. And then once again, I'm going to come in with my microfiber cloth, and I'm just going to buff that into the vellum. Now, you could heat set this. You're still probably going to want to buff it out with the microfiber cloth, even if you heat set it. But I find that just kind of adding the color and buffing it is kind of enough. So I'm going to heat set this when I'm all done, just to make sure that I'm not transferring a bunch of ink to my card front and all of that. But for the most part, that buffing with the microfiber cloth does a really good job. And since I have the ink on the back side of this vellum, I now don't have to worry about touching the front side or working on my card. Now, in this official stamp set, there is also like this whale tail, and I am going to actually use it as a mermaid tail because nobody told me I couldn't. And so I am going to center it up in this window here. So I'm creating kind of like this circular shape on the front of my card. And I'm going to be using a little bit of my new favorite, the Spellbinders Opal foil, to foil this onto my card front. So I've held my hot foil plate. This is the new Essentials by Ellen circle hot foil plate onto the front of my card using a little bit of removable adhesive. And I am going to just flip this up and place the foil with the front side of it touching my foil plate and the back side of it touching my cardstock. So if you ever have a hard time remembering what to do with foil, the back side is always going to touch your cardstock. Now I've placed that onto my Gemini foil press. I've set my timer. When the timer went off, I ran it through my Gemini Junior. And now I can remove my cardstock and the hot foil plate, and I will have this beautiful Opal Shimmer foil circle. Now, I know a lot of you are going to ask, what's the difference between the Essential Circles die and the Essential Circles hot foil plate? And the difference really is the amount of surface area of metal that you have. So a die is going to have very fine, thin lines to cut paper, but a foil plate is going to have more of a smooth, flat, larger surface to transfer foil to your cardstock. It's almost like comparing an outline stamp to a solid stamp. So your outline stamp is going to have two thin lines for your circle. And your hot foil plate, or your solid stamp in this case, is going to have a large flat area. Now, can you foil with a die? Yes, you can, but you're not going to have all of this foil on your card front. You're going to end up with two very fine lines of foil. And sometimes it's even hard to get the glint of the foil because the lines are so fine. Now, with the Essentials hot foil shapes, all of that area is filled in. So all of the area between the two lines, so the outer line and the inner line that create the circle, is filled in with foil. So that's kind of the difference, and I hope that makes sense for you. So now I have taken and I have die cut some Gina K Masking Magic masking paper using the coordinating Essentials by Ellen Essential Circle dies. And I am masking off this area of foiling that I created with the hot foil plate. So I added the thin frame over the actual foiling itself, and then I added this larger piece surrounding it to mask off my entire card front. And now I'm going to take two of my favorite colors now. I love how these colors blend together. I'm using the Concord and 9th Ballet slipper along with the Catherine Pooler Apricot, and I'm creating this beautiful soft blend. And I am blending right over those stamped images that I placed inside this window. So I stamped those using the Gina K Obsidian Amalgam ink, and I heat set those to make sure that I wasn't going to smudge them. And I'm going to blend right over these images because I know once they're heat set, they're not going to smudge. And I just chose to blend over them because I'm going to color the tail, the mermaid tail. I think it's actually a whale tail, but we're going to call it a mermaid tail. I'm going to color that with some alcohol ink markers, but I'm going to use a darker color than what I'm blending with and something that's in the same family. So I really didn't worry about blending directly over those images. Now, once I'm done with the blending, I'm going to go ahead and remove that masking paper. You can see I have that beautiful circle of color that's surrounded by this iridescent foiling. It's kind of hard to see in the video, but in real life, it is absolutely beautiful. And now I'm going to take some alcohol ink markers. These are sketch markers, and they are available in the ellenhutson.com store. And I am going to color my mermaid tail using kind of these peachy pinks, these really warm pinks. And you can see I'm actually even mixing them with the Copic markers. That's totally fine. They're both alcohol inks. They work well together. They play well together. And they both are refillable markers with a brush nib and a chisel nib. They're very comparable in the type of product that they are, but I believe the sketch markers are a little bit more on the affordable side. So if you're looking for an affordable alcohol ink marker, check these out. Now I have used the coordinating die with this whale tail or mermaid tail, as we're going to call it, to cut out the mermaid tail. And that mermaid tail die actually only cuts 3 sides. So it doesn't cut the tail completely out of the cardstock. It allows it to kind of be free, and I can bend it forward, as you saw, to give it a little bit of dimension and have it kind of flipping out from the card. Now I'm going to take some liquid glue, and on the back side of the vellum where I have the heat embossing, I'm going to hide just a little bit of liquid glue to hold this vellum onto my card front. And I did die cut this down into a separate panel using the Essentials by Ellen Essential Rectangle dies. And all of the excess vellum, I'm gonna go ahead and trim off with some long blade scissors. Now, when I'm trimming things off that are big chunks like this, I prefer to use a scissor with a long blade rather than my short blade scissors so that I can just kind of make one clean cut along the edge and be done with it. I find I get better results that way. Now I've gone ahead and added some foam adhesive to the back of my card panel here, and I'm placing it onto a top folding A2 size card base. And then I'm finishing off my mermaid tail with a little bit of Tonic Aqua Shimmer pen, and I traced along the embossing lines of the vellum there with a little bit of this Aqua Shimmer pen to give it some shimmer as well. And I did want to note that behind the mermaid tail, I did not put any foam adhesive because I didn't want to be able to see it from the front of the card. So I kind of skipped that area so you wouldn't see anything behind this mermaid tail. And that completes my card for today. I absolutely love this gorgeous kind of ethereal ocean look that you can get on vellum. There's just nothing like vellum in my opinion. And I know sometimes it can be hard to adhere onto projects, but being creative about how you adhere it is just a small little hurdle for the gorgeous results that you get, in my opinion. Now, as always, I will have links to the featured products used in this project in the description at YouTube. So if you're looking for something in particular, you can check there. Or you can head on over to my blog at sprinkledwithglitter.com. I will have that linked below. Over there, you'll find more still shots, more information, a complete list of supplies, as well as information about an Instagram hop celebrating this brand new Essentials by Ellen July 2022 release. There'll be inspiration and prizes, and you don't want to miss it. As always, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this project. If you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications here so you don't miss any of my paper crafting and card making video tutorials. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day.